to another episode of Unfiltered Romance Nights. We are your hosts, Kolleen.
And I'm Marjorie. Tonight we have Amazon Top 15 and international best-selling author Luna Mason. Congratulations on your release for Cage. And thank you for joining us today. Before we take a deep dive into the book, we have a couple of questions to get to know you better.
So other than writing, what are some of your hobbies?
Hobbies. Okay. I have a son, so a lot of my time is two. So a lot of my time is spent with him and this dog that's pestering me now. I guess I read a lot, not as much as I used to. Other than that, going out with my friends, really. We go on lots of different trips. I guess that's my holiday hobby is traveling. I would say.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Lucky.
Okay, so I know you said you don't get to do a lot, but if you do have it, what is your favorite TV show or series?
Oh, okay. So Vampire Diaries is my comfort series, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Those two are on in the background. But if I want to watch something, I like serial killer, stalker documentaries. That's kind of my go-to.
We have to ask the most important question now that you said Vampire Diaries. Damon or Stefan?
Damon.
Okay. Now we can keep going. Now, I know you have a son, so we kind of have to work around our kids' schedule, but would you say you're more of a morning person or a night owl?
Night owl, always.
Yeah.
My sleep schedule is, I work a lot in the evenings, so I'll stay up, and most of my team are in America. I'm obviously in the UK, so I'm up till sometimes 2, 3 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
And then I get up at 6:30, I think. So mornings aren't my thing.
Yeah.
Lots of coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said that you used to read a lot, and then you're still reading. Do you have a favorite author?
I have a few. So I guess the one that got me into reading spicy kind of books is Sylvia Day. By a series. I love. So I read 50 Shades of Grey, and I enjoyed that at the time. But then I read the Crossfire series, and that was
so good.
Elite. I have all the copies. I still buy the special editions. And when I was in Denver, I signed in the room next to her, and I was like,
oh my gosh.
I know. I didn't get to meet her because obviously it was an experience in itself. But yeah, hopefully another signing I will meet her. So that's kind of, I'd say my inspiration author. And then dark, I guess I read a lot of dark romance. I love Sadie Kincaid's books, and I love Sadie as a person. So I'll always read her books, and I absolutely love them all. Trying to think what else I've read. I've got a whole Som Sketcher. Love her books too.
Oh, I can't talk about it, but I just heard something about that author. Good news.
Good. I'm glad. I'm waiting.
Now, you said you like dark romance. Now, within that, what would you say are your favorite subgenres and tropes to read?
Okay, so I like an arranged marriage.
Okay.
I enjoy that. Brother's Best Friend is my favorite, which you don't often get as much in dark romance. I think you get that a lot in sports and a lot in Office, but not so much in Mafia. It's there, but I don't think it's one of the big ones. Stalking. Big fan. I actually controversially really like A Surprise Pregnancy. They pop up a lot in my books. I don't know. I've kind of stopped actually. The next few books won't have them, but then I did do the surprise baby in book 1 of this series.
Yes.
So.
That was good though. That was real good.
It was.
Yeah. But I know it's a bit of a ish trope. Yeah, there isn't actually much that I don't like. The only one that I can say that I don't is only because maybe I haven't read one that gets me is Amnesia. I really struggle with that, but I do want to write one. I want to write one, but put my own twist on it.
Right.
Yeah, I think I have. Well, we just read one.
Yeah, we just read
Amnesia.
one.
It was really, really good.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think it's not. I'm trying to think. Other than that,
Yeah, it's not. I know Rena Kent had one that just came out, I think.
Yeah, and then there's
Yeah.
I did read one actually. I will take that all back. I read one that was good, and that's Breaking Haley
oh, okay.
by I.A. Dice. Her writing is beautiful, but she did the amnesia trope. She didn't tell me it was in there, and it's wet. And she did that really well actually, and I enjoyed that book. And it didn't pull me out because I was getting annoyed. I think I get annoyed,
Yeah.
but I don't know that it's just like a personal reaction to it. But that one I didn't. So yeah, that one slips through.
So I get to look forward to when you write one for that trope.
Yeah, I keep plotting it in and then I take it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when did you first decide to write romance novels? And I guess what's your inspiration for it?
So I had the idea that I wanted to publish a book, a romance book, not necessarily knowing what it was. And I was at university at the time, so I would have been about 18. And I bought like Stephen King's book on how to write a book and all this stuff. I did some courses. And I was always writing, but like non-fiction. So my background's legal. So I always liked doing that. I love researching. I love learning. And I was like, one day I want to say I'm a published author, and it will probably just be one book, but I can say that I did it.
Right.
But life was busy. After that, I went to train to be a solicitor, then changed careers again and kind of focused on that more than anything. And it wasn't until I had my son and I had a year off work. And by, I'd say like 3 months in, I must have exhausted Kindle Unlimited to the point that I was spending more time looking for a book. And I started to not finish books because I read so much. They all kind of started blending into one, and they weren't what I wanted to read. Because I went into like a sports romance blitz of like NFL, I don't know, anything actually, really, anything. And I was kind of getting to the point where they're not dark enough because I like mafia, but I like the sports. I can't find anything that I want. And so I was like, I'm just going to write a book that I want to read right now because I have the time. I've never had this time to myself. Well, sort of, you have a newborn, but in the evenings he slept quite well. So I had this time that I've never had before and no obligation from my job to work for a promotion or work more hours or push that. So I plotted out 3 books and I was like, do you know what? Okay, we'll write 3 books. I did this random course online, which taught me absolutely nothing. So you're an aspiring author that's going to pay for courses online, don't bother. Unless there's a really good one, but these were not good. So I just, in the end, wrote distance. I did the Nano challenge. So it was writing 50,000 words, I think it was, in a month. Yeah. I did that. And then 2 weeks after that, I then actually finished the book. And in the meantime, so before I actually started writing, I kind of plotted, but over the course of the time that I'd been on maternity leave, I was looking at like my favorite authors, how they were doing it. Like I didn't know what an ARC team was. I didn't know what a beta reader was. I was joining writer Facebook groups and trying to like look at people who'd had successful book releases and careers what were they doing that I could do, because I don't want to go back to work, basically. I really don't want to go back to an office life.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got to that point. And I created like a TikTok account, and I was just testing like scenes, I guess, randomly. I was seeing how other people were doing it, and then using my ideas like in that slide kind of. And yeah, I literally came up with distance. I was watching a boxing match with my family, and one of the boxers came out, and I was like, he's really fit. What if he killed people?
It worked.
Yeah. So I kind of looked at it and I was like, there are boxing books, but there doesn't really seem to be much boxing mafia or anything else of mafia.
Right.
Because I've got lots of ideas for sports and mafia, like in here. And yeah, so I went with that, created this man that was just out of this world. Yeah, just sat and I wrote. I didn't really follow any structure. I had 3 parts to it, like beginning, middle, and end. I didn't really think too deep into it. And yeah, that was that. And then I kind of just published. And inspiration wise, one that I always call out is JC Hawk. She did a post on Instagram, so I followed her, still follow her now on my personal profile. And I loved her. I think it was the Grand Promises duet. Loved that. And she put a post on that she managed to quit her corporate job. And like she had these pictures, I still remember it, of like the posters of her covers. And like I was just really inspired by that you could quit your job and become an author, self-publishing. I think that's the key bit, like being completely self-published and new. So she gave me the inspiration, I think, to actually do it. Because not only that, I was a bit on the fence because of the nature of the books. Like, what would people think about me? What would people think if I was dropping my son off at nursery? You know, like if they found out, like, how do I explain to my mum and dad even? I did very early on. I just basically said, like, I'm writing a smut book. You're either on board or you're not. I don't really care. You don't.
Right.
But it's always in the back of your mind, like, and that's probably why you'd notice my books get progressively darker, because I'm getting more and more comfortable with not caring what people think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think this book was definitely darker.
Yeah.
I mean, we ate it up.
Yeah. We're like, oh, yeah, it's gonna get darker and darker. Which we
I think that was one of our questions, because her and I were talking, we were prepping, and I was like, I feel like this one's darker. I wonder if they're just going to keep getting darker.
Yeah, I like to push boundaries. I get bored of stuff really quick. Even like spice scenes. I've kind of decided to cut the amount that I do, but make them really like intense, and finding different ways. So I'll make sure, even when I'm writing Roman, like right this second, if something starts to feel too similar to what I've written before, I'll scrap it, go again. Because if people are going to start reading my backlist and stuff, I don't want them having like repetitive spice. So the only way is to push it, but the only way to push it is to realistically get darker. And also for my next book, it's going to be more fun. It's going to be dark, but it's going to be like a kind of spice I've never read before. It's just like very Alexi. It's very wild.
I love him.
I love him too.
He's my favorite. I just want to get Roman finished and just delve into this man's brain.
He is hilarious. You never know what's going to come out of his mouth next.
No, and I've got to outline his book, and I have this feeling that I'm going to come up with this chapter by chapter outline, and I'm going to start writing, and he's going to be like, no. Yeah, so his one's going to be, I think potentially it will be like my favorite book I've ever written, and will struggle to write anything that I'd enjoy as much as him.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm excited. yeah, every time I see him, it's like it's gonna be funny. This is gonna be a funny scene, like
Yeah.
at the
I
most
will watch
inappropriate
it, though.
time.
The
Yeah.
flamingo. That's all I'm going to say.
The flamingo has a really, like, it has a funny meaning, but it's going to have a really symbolic and really deep meaning. So his book is going to be wild. It's going to be funny, but his book is going to be very deep, like Luca Rosa deep. Not similar in plot, but similar in emotion. So more around Lara and Alexi's reaction to that and what happens to them, which is where the kind of flamingo comes in. Yeah, so it's going to be, I don't know if people will expect it, but I'm going to try and put like warnings out and stuff because it had potential to go to like a romantic comedy style, but Lara's character isn't allowing that to happen. And I think Alexei is quite a traumatized individual. Like he's very neurodiverse. He's very impulsive. He basically has impulsive thoughts and can't filter them. So he'll do them, which is fine. But then him being in love with someone that is completely and utterly broken and relies on him, I wouldn't be able to do their story justice unless I went dark and I went emotional with it. But it will be funny. And my plan is to sprinkle, like, you know, whenever there's something bad, we will follow up with some good stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll be crying, and then the next page I'll be laughing.
Yeah, basically. But that is him. He's so unregulated. As will the book be.
So,
I love that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that because there's not, a lot of books where they put you through that motions of like, it's always
One or the other.
Yeah, one or the other.
Yeah.
How many books do you think you typically put out in a year? Do you think?
The aim is for full length. So this year it was Detained, Chaos, Caged, Crave, and Roman. So 5, but Roman's a novella. And then my distance. Okay. So technically 6, but like full length, I aim for 4. Quite a tight schedule. I can't lie.
Yeah.
I did. Well, Roman isn't finished and it has to be on Amazon by Monday. Yeah. I know. It just crept up on me. It turned into July and I went, oh dear. And then the Word document and went, why is there only 7,000 words here? I thought I wrote 15. Yeah, so that's a my bad moment. And Caged, I had the whole of May, basically. I didn't work. My whole personal life exploded. So I lost a month of writing. So that kind of pushed me. I mean, his nearly didn't come out on time. Hence why his book is actually 15,000 words shorter than my usual, because that was all I could.
Is that right? It's hard to tell when you're reading it on a Kindle.
Yeah. So his is, I think, 75,000 words in the end. Chaos is 92.
Okay.
It's 126.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, his story is very much a lead into Alexei. I don't think it needed to be any longer. Otherwise, it would have been maybe too long. So it worked out fine. But
yeah, definitely.
I didn't feel like it was short. I mean, granted, I was like, I'm going to keep reading this because I just can't put it down. So it didn't feel like it. So.
Yeah. Paperback looks all right. He doesn't look thinner. So
yeah,
I'm happy with that. But yeah, that's the thing with like author life. You have this schedule, you risk the pre-orders, but you have to stick to it. And that doesn't account for like taking a month off work because I could have written, but it wouldn't have been very good because my head wasn't in it. I couldn't connect with the characters, and the book that you would have got wouldn't have been a Luna Mason book. It would have been, I don't know, a mess. So yeah.
Okay, well, we're talking about schedule and stuff. So, do you have a specific writing routine, or do you just write down when the idea moves you?
I'm trying to get better. So with the help of my editor, um, I'm trying to get more structured with it. I'm very, I don't know how to explain how my brain works, but I cannot function on one thing for too long. There's a lot of like admin, there's a lot of everything that goes alongside this that people don't see. That as much as you can outsource to people, I can't let control go, because at the end of the day, it's me and my brand. I can't just say, okay, run with it. You still have to maintain that level of like, I guess, control over it. And that takes up a lot of my time. So I now try to, in the day, do my admin. So stuff that I don't want to do that's business related. So that is what I do in the day. But that also falls under part of the writing. So I'll plot out what I want to write in the evening. If there's certain scenes, and if you notice, like on my Instagram, you'll see like my stories. A lot of that I write in the day. So I'll have random like moments where Alexi at the moment will say an absolute banging quote out of nowhere. There's no context, don't know where it is. I have an entire phone note. There's about 3,000 words just of his quotes. And I'll have these like sparks. And then so I'll spend some of my day working out what that means, because Alexi in particular won't tell me anything else bar this random quote. So then I try and fit it in, or I'll find songs to go. My writing then schedule now is in the evening. So kind of leads back to the hobby thing. I'm trying to make writing my hobby. That's what I enjoy. It started to feel like work. I lost enjoyment. Yeah. So now work is admin, 9 to 5 in the office, home, evenings. Instead of reading, that's when I write.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you have a schedule or the intent of one. So that's
it's
good.
The intent, and then I sit on Instagram and scroll through reels.
I know.
You'll probably notice that in my story as well. There's lots of bikers.
I do that shit all the time. I'm like, all right, I'm going to read because I have to read this by Tuesday. And here I am through TikTok. I'm like, oh, what's going on? Oh, they're opening pearls. What's inside?
It is so hard to actually like. That's why I need deadlines, because I work and always have worked with really strict deadlines. If it was 6 months in advance, I'd still do it the month before. There is no chance I would start it 6 months early.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, here's an interesting question. So when you come up with a book title, is that something you come up with first and then you write the book, or do you let the story flow and then come up with a title?
So I come up with my titles first.
Okay.
And I make the story fit the title. I did change Caged. It was Corrupt. I changed it to Caged because it was more reflective of them. But obviously my series have the same letter for each title, so I'm kind of restricted. And it's also really annoying for my team because they'd be like, Chaos, Cage, no, Crave. And I'm like, just go 1, 2, 3, or 4, or use the character names. So I'm quite restricted. So it takes me a long time to make sure they look good together. So this time I actually did it so they're all 5 letters. So it looks good when they're I like it to be aesthetically pleasing, and like Detonate is too long on the book. That annoyed me. So I come up with them first. I make them fit. So for example, like Alexi's book could have actually been Chaos, really. But Jax is the king of chaos. Crave, because he's addicted to her, always has. Claim is going to be, it also helps me pick my tropes out. Like Claim, I had no idea what I wanted Mikhail's book to be. And now it's called Claim. I'm like, well, obviously he's
wait for his book either. He is such a mystery. I need to know about him.
He is going to be in Crave predominantly to obviously lead into his book.
Yeah.
But he won't be unmasked. You're not going to really find out much more. You did get quite a bit of information in Caged. Like,
yes.
You're starting to get more about what happened in his past. But he's more of a surprise because, like, he's like Nikolai, yes. He's cold. He's going to be like the meanest character that I've ever written. But also he's going to be really funny. Like, he has.
Really?
Yeah. Like,
I'm excited.
When he takes his mask off and lets people in, and like previous to what happened to him, like, he's the Joker. He's funny. And you'll start to see like little bits of that. Like, you know, when he's kind of winding Alexi up, and like trying to be mean to him, he's doing it like as a joke, but nobody really sees it as that because he's got this like false, but deep down inside, he just wants to like take the piss out of them. So yeah, his is going to be kind of like different. I think fun to write because also it's going to be like very forbidden, very Beauty and the Beast style, I guess.
Yep, I could see that.
Now I'm thinking, like, have we met the FMC yet for him?
No, so a lot of people think it's Tatiana, but
that's what I said.
No, it's not her.
Yeah,
she's cool though.
Yeah, she is
so cool.
She's an interesting character. I was like, ooh, hopefully she gets her own book.
She might do.
Maybe. Do you have any plans to write besides mafia romance?
So I have a spin-off planned for a character you're going to meet in Crave. So it's got a mafia tie in regards to working for, but it's not really predominantly a mafia book. It's going to be an office romance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but dark. Think dark. But I'm excited for that one. That one came to me randomly and I was like, it's just going to be a standalone. And then I thought, no, I can fit this in my universe. So that's my only kind of plan away from, so it won't be as kind of graphic, violent. I mean, it's centered around a murder, but
That's nothing.
Well, okay, maybe he did. But it's not big mafia related. If I was to delve into other things, probably paranormal is where I would.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I love obviously Vampire Diaries, that kind of stuff. So I would have a go at that. What else? But whether I have time, I don't know. Yeah, office romance is what I used to read like constantly.
Yeah.
The other one that I have floating around my brain that one day might come out is Formula One.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's not too much of that.
I have plans for Mafia that ties into it. So well, it'd be like the ultimate sport to funnel money through, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Every sport you can funnel money through. That leads me back to Mafia.
Right? Yeah.
You're funny. Now, if I was a new reader, would you recommend a specific reading order?
I would honestly say just start at the top, start with distance and work your way down. They all interlink, even series 2, all of the characters are in Detained. Okay. Jax is actually in Devoted. So it all kind of funnels through. And will continue to do so. So all the books I have planned. So we've got Enzo's Duet. That's going to lead straight on from Mikhail's book. My spin-off is going to lead off from book 3. I've got a Rockstar romance.
Fun.
Yeah, but again, that is going to be still part of the same universe. So the band that Jax went to see or was listening to in Chaos, that's them.
Okay, yeah. I remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
So,
Yeah.
so I think just follow them as I release them is the best way. But again, if there's preferences and things, they can all be read completely on their own. But
Okay.
Okay, so is it easy or difficult for you to write the sex scenes?
oh, easy. So easy. I'm finding it more difficult the more that I do, because like I said before, it's making it different and fitting it to the characters. And I put where I'm doing less of it and less kind of, I'd say less vanilla-y stuff like that's kind of just gone. Like that's not even gone into depth on. It's just like intense, kinky. I can write it anywhere, anytime. I woke up this morning at 8 a.m. I was writing it at 8:10. It's one of those things. Some I have struggled with that I've had to keep going back to. So some are Jax's. More logistically, I was like, unless I go and find a man in the office who's going to spin me upside down on the wall, I'm going to have to disappear. And I'm just sat there staring blankly at this white wall, like, where would he be holding her? Like for it to actually, to the point I went out for a meal with my friends and we all got pen and paper out and started drawing it to try and work. You kind of almost come, like when they say like doctors, like they aren't bothered about like seeing bits because they do it all the time. That's honestly like what my brain's in certain situations. Like there are situations where obviously you're just sat there and you're like, oh, okay, right. But yeah, on the whole, the concentration that has to come with writing it to make sure you're using the right words, you're explaining it well enough. Like the MMF scene I've just written, I basically had to scrap loads of it because I was like, I don't even know who's in what hole. So yeah, you kind of like zone out of it from like almost a sexual way, and it just becomes like choreographing a dance. To be quite honest,
that's a good way to put it. I love that.
Yeah, honestly, like I've got a list on my phone of different things, and it's like a list of like stuff that's there, like different kinks that I want to write and that I have to like research into. And my sister was like, what if someone finds your phone? I was like, that is the least of our problems. If someone has my phone, that is the least of the issue.
No, you have mafia notes in there talking about killing this one
I've got an entire note of torture techniques, like funny torture techniques as well.
You'll be gone. He'll take you in handcuffs.
Yeah, that one my dad helped me with, actually. Me and my dad sat there coming up with different ways to torture people.
That's so funny.
That's
in any of your books, really, or in this series, what were your favorite scenes to write? Let's say between Chaos and Caged, what were your favorite scenes to write?
Any scenes?
Yeah.
Okay, any scenes. Okay, Chaos. My favorite scene to write, I liked writing the primal scene, the big one.
Yeah.
That one was fun to write. I enjoyed that. That one just came out in one go. One take, done. I know this is going to sound awful, but I really enjoyed, not even enjoyed, I guess I was kind of more proud of myself for writing between chapters 64 to 70 in Chaos.
Okay.
Like everything around that. I not only learned a lot about my own mental health, like took on board stuff for my son and like things that I do and don't want to do. He's 2, but I kind of realized like there's different things as a parent that you can do that can impact even growing up a young kid that can help. So, actively now, if he falls over and starts crying, I'll pick him up and I'll cuddle him and I'll let him cry, because I was finding before, just instinctively, I would be like, it's okay, just get up, you're all right, you don't need to cry. Why is that? Because he's a boy. And I noticed it at nursery. If a little girl falls over, she gets completely different treatment to if a boy does.
Yeah.
And that's kind of ingrained from such a young age. It's taught me a lot, but now I found I'm quite like protective over it. So like at nursery, if I've seen it, I've been like, excuse me, pick him up.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very much that person now, but enjoy is the wrong word. Didn't enjoy it. It was actually, I don't actually think I want to cry that much writing a book ever again. I listened to it on audio, again, made me cry. But I think the kind of like impact that it had just on my life, I know a lot of other people as well, made it worth it. And I'm glad that I did do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I also really enjoyed the scene where when he found out he was a dad. I loved that.
Yeah.
Caged, I liked anything hate related, water, breath play.
I was going to say bathtub.
Love that. And you know what? The one I had most fun writing was the one in the graveyard with the ice.
Yes, it was funny. That was fun.
And with the song. So I had that song on repeat, which I absolutely love. And it just progressively got more aggressive. Like that was not the plan, but that song just ruined my brain. And yeah, so she's like stabbing him. Anytime she stabs him, really, I enjoyed.
It's fun. Yeah. I found that funny because it's like Mikhail was like, why do you keep going back? Like, you've been stabbed multiple times and you keep coming back. That was funny to me because he did keep coming back to her.
Yeah.
That was foreplay.
Exactly.
Much.
Yeah. Too great. It kind of reminded me of Frankie and Zara a bit, but just worse.
Yeah. It is. So we kind of touched base a little bit earlier. Like Cage is a little darker than Chaos. Will the next two books going to be darker? I mean, I think we.
So book 4 will be dark. I'm not sure how because I haven't plotted it out yet, but it will be like just borderline. And we've gone from like kind of a really dark grey. We're just going kind of, I wouldn't say black. It's not completely like feral. He is a decent person. But yeah, it'll be dark. And Crave, yes, but in its own way. So it's a stalker romance, but obviously we know how his brain works in a way that he doesn't realize he's actually stalking her. That's kind of where that's going. It's a stalker that doesn't realize he's a stalker, a pleasure dom that doesn't realize he's a pleasure dom. Yeah. So dark, funny.
So far, out of all the characters in the book, well, you know what? I'll just say couples. Who so far do you think would be your favorite couple?
That is a really hard question. Jax and Sophia are probably my favorite couple.
Yeah.
I think they're like the cutest couple, I think.
They are.
And I love even when I do like little cameos of Jax, I'm like, oh, I love him so much. But I also, I mean, in my brain, Alexi and Lara will be my elite couple, hands down. But I have them rolling around my brain and have done for a year. Other than that, Luca and Rosa, my soft spot is Luca. Always, everything for series 1 was to get to his book. So he's kind of he might even outdo Jax for me as a person, like as a one, but as a couple, Jax and Sophia, because Rosa, as much as I liked Rosa, if they were real people, Sophia would be my friend.
Yeah. I think Nikolai and Mila, aka Melissa, I loved them. I loved Chaos, but this one, Caged, was like, oh my God. Because I was like, all right, he was in love with his wife. I just couldn't, it was tough for me to see like a love story for him, but it was perfect. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like since Distance, was it Distance Keller, right? Keller was the very first one that I read. I love him. I have like, I always like, oh, he's my number one. But then as I read through the series and then Frankie comes in, I was like, oh, I'm sorry, Keller. Frankie and Zara right now. And
Yeah.
then, Nikolai and Mila. I'm like, it's just tough to like choose which one, but yeah.
I know it is hard. They're all pretty. Like Keller, I do like, and when I wrote his short story, I think I forgot how much I love writing him because I could literally flick back into him. I think I wrote that in like 3 days, and I really enjoyed rewriting it. And I will write another one because I don't think I can let him go.
I think we did talk about a little bit, but like for your future projects that you can talk about, or like, yeah, what are you kind of working on that you can talk about?
So for the rest of this year, it will be this series,
Okay.
and then it will be going into Enzo's duet,
Okay.
which I'm excited about. I didn't know what to do with him. I knew he needed a book from when he said that one line in Distance about losing someone he lost. No, losing someone that he loved. Sorry. As soon as he said that one line, I was like, you have a story and I'm going to work out what it is. And obviously he's now going to be in 8 books, but until he gets his own. But what I will say is just watch him throughout the series. Like anytime it's referencing Enzo, keep an eye out on that because there's already stuff in Caged that tells you what's happening in his book. Yeah, there's some good stuff in there about him. But I don't, it's not obvious. But I think when you read his book and then if you went back, you'd be like, oh my God, what?
Yeah.
So that they will be coming out, I'm thinking April and May. I don't want to leave. There'll probably be 3 weeks between the releases. And they're going to be chunky books, like 85,000 each. Wow. So 170 for the duet. That's if it's a duet. It could churn into a trilogy. I'm not sure, but duet at the moment because I have other stuff.
Where it goes.
Then we've got the spin-off. So we've got the Rockstar. We've got the Office Romance. Those, they could be Patreon or like novellas. I'm not sure yet what I want to do with them. And then series 4 is going to be the next gen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've got a plan for the 4 boys, Leo, Nico. Oh, why can't I remember their names? But yeah, so they will be like the next gen 1. And then I do have a plan for next gen 2, specifically May. She's going to be like a badass boxer like her dad. So it will kind of go on from there, I think, or she will be in the series 1 for, I nearly said the series name. It's still going to be in the Beneath, so it'll be Beneath the something.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not going to kill anyone off. Don't worry, I couldn't do that. They're just going to be older. Yeah, so that's where the Beneath universe is going, 25, 26. I think I've got enough books for that. Potentially another shared world like I did with the Roman, possibly, if I have time. I might do another one next year. Other than that, I think I'm pretty full.
I think so.
You're busy.
Oh my God. I'm just looking forward to the destruction of Ivan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whenever that shall be. But
right,
we heard about him in Caged Chaos, and he went full throttle in this book.
Right.
I was like, this guy's nuts.
I
couldn't
really
believe it.
wanted to put him in Caged, but I couldn't because it's just not how the series is going.
Yeah, we just heard there was just reference to him, but this book, I was like, oh my God.
Mhm.
Horrid man.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Mm. Yeah,
You
he'll be
just you
back.
said you went to Readers Take Denver? Okay.
Yeah,
Any others planned coming up?
a lot.
Oh,
So, Sinners and Stardust in
oh,
Boston.
okay.
I will be there in August. Then I'm doing Rare Edinburgh September, Love and Vegas in October. So that's this year. Then next year I'm doing, I think it's called Saints and Sinners, Sinners and Saints, one of those in Miami in March. I'm in Vancouver in July. Can't remember what the signing's called. B something. So all those lines. Rare London. Um, Villains and Vixens in Dallas in September. And then I'm trying to look for something for November time. So anyone has any suggestions for end of the year next year?
I feel like, is it November that there's something in Arizona?
Sounds
I
good.
don't know. I'm not. I don't
Haven't
remember.
visited there. I'm basically using these as like I want to go to like near enough every state.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm also in Amsterdam this year as well.
Oh,
I believe I've just got to wait to hear back, but my series 1 is being translated into Dutch. So there's a signing there where my publisher will be there. They'll have some of my books. So I said I would attend.
fun.
So yeah.
You're busy traveling as well, writing.
Yes. Yeah. I enjoy it. That I kind of said before, I've always loved going on holidays, traveling around. I try and do it as much as I can. So yeah, this is kind of like ideal opportunity. And I just book like a week, do the signing for a couple of days, and then I can explore. Well, unless you're in Denver and you have like altitude sickness, jet lag, and exhaustion.
Yeah.
And I just didn't leave the Airbnb. Then I think I was ill for probably 2 weeks when I got home.
Oh,
I felt awful, like the world's worst hangover
No.
with no alcohol.
oh man.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I'll be seeing you in August for Sinners and Stardust. I'm going.
Oh,
So
cool.
I'm excited for that.
Yes, I'm just in the middle of ordering all my books and my stock for that at the moment.
Oh, yeah. You're having it shipped, I imagine.
Yeah. And also I've got a lot of like foiled books that I'm doing this time. I've not done that before. So we are winging it.
So we're gonna switch to the reader questions. So this first few are from your Facebook group. This one is from Ashley. If you could be in any of your books as the MMC and FMC, which book would you choose? And she's requesting it needs to be 2 different books.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Of my books that I want to be in.
Yes.
Well, I don't want anything too traumatizing. So either Caged or I would say like just because Luke is in it, but I wouldn't want to go through that. Maybe actually because distance, I wouldn't perform well in that situation. I would have just told him to leave. Detonate.
Okay.
If I was to immerse myself in that life, those 2 would be ideal.
Okay. And then, we already answered Stevie Collins's questions about the favorite MMCs and FMC. So we're going to go to Chloe Carney. This is a 3-pronged question. What character do you relate to the most? We'll start that.
Character do I relate to the most? Possibly Sienna. not just because she's a Brit. But I would say even reasonably as a writer, she's the first person I wrote. So there's going to be a lot more that I've taken from myself than any of the others. And then also, I guess, sass level, it's got to be Maddie. Like, if I'm anyone that kind of way that just like clap back at anything, that would be most relatable to me, I think, probably.
Okay. And do you have any tips for beginner writers or aspiring authors?
Yep. So, main one I go with. You can't edit a blank page, but you can edit a bad one. So just write. It doesn't matter what the kind of standard is. There's editors for that. There's alpha readers. Like, there are ways to improve your craft, but you can't improve your craft if you don't even start. So, and also, like, write every day. Even if you think it is the worst thing you've ever read, it's probably not. It's just you brain thinking that it is. You don't need to have like a doctorate or a degree in creative writing to be a writer. My writing style gets criticized a lot, but I'm not going to change it because a lot of people do like it, and I'm writing for them, not for the people that don't. If you don't like my stuff, don't continue to read it. So just write what feels good for you. Don't let anyone, I guess, sway your writing as well. So, there's writing to market. Yeah. There's writing for other people to an extent, but you need to write for yourself. So if something doesn't feel right, don't do it. I think you have to have that level of enjoyment to do it. In regards to like the whole publishing stuff, there's a lot of good Facebook groups that are like writer orientated with romance, but not just that. You've got like 20 books to 50K is a very good one for like the business side of it. And it basically talks you through how you can write 20 books and earn yourself at least £50,000 or dollars a year.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of good advice on there. But again, that's the kind of business side. Actual writing, there isn't anything else other than write. Then go back and improve it. And I guess speak to people and read. Like, a lot of writers are readers, but you can learn a lot from just reading. And I don't mean in any which way read to then take ideas or anything like that, but
right.
Read to kind of educate yourself. You pick up new words, even if you're reading, I don't know, even like your phone, like if you're reading articles or reading something on ancient history. I actually pick up lots of new language from songs. I find that really helpful, like just different words I'd never even heard of. I'm like, oh, what do they mean? I could use that. And yeah, it's a constant learning, but you have to kind of dedicate yourself to it, immerse yourself in it, and I guess let your brain just write.
Yeah. That's great advice.
Great. Okay, so next one, this ones are from the Instagram. I think this one is from Brienne Marie. What's your dark fantasy or kink?
Mine.
We're gonna go there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite obvious from like how many hand necklaces I write. Would I class it as dark? No, I kind of class that as quite standard, but that's me. I don't know. I'm one of those people, I'll try anything once. To an extent. Whether or not I then continue liking that or not. And I think as well, a lot of it comes down to relationships, people, trust. So yeah, I'm a fairly spicy individual, I guess. Yeah, but I think I saw there was someone commented in my Facebook group the other day, like, Luna obviously has a breeding kink, and I replied, absolutely not. I do not. I will write them, yes, because they're hot to write.
Right.
Nope. He's like, but you write them so well. I'm like, absolutely not. No. So that's one of my no's. Other than that, yeah, I'm not really too sure what my other no's would be.
To be determined.
Yeah, we'll circle back. No, we'll just read the book and say, I wonder. This is new.
Yeah, this is new. What, do you reckon she tried that one?
Now, what's one trope that you absolutely will not write aside from amnesia? Oh no, you're gonna write amnesia, but
I wouldn't write. I mean, I wouldn't personally go into the taboo, like incest. You will not find me writing that.
Okay.
Just out of personal, I don't read it. To me, it's not my thing. Again, I'd never knock anyone else for wanting to read or write it, but it's not going to be any part of my future. I guess that's my solid, like, hard no. Other trope. Do you know what? I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. I wouldn't. Right. I mean, the only other kind of ones would be like spice scenes that involve any kind of like bodily fluid that's, that's a no for me. So there's another one. No.
No golden showers.
No. Just I saw something the other day and it involved like poop, and I was like, sorry,
no.
And it wasn't a book even, it was something else. And I was like, don't know what kind of part of the dark web I was on. But yeah, I was just horrified. But yeah, like standard tropes, I can't actually think. I'd like to write step sibling.
Oh, it's my favorite.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I probably wouldn't do. It's not even that I wouldn't do. I'm just not really into. Would be like stepmom.
Yeah.
In my head, all I think of was bad porn.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's something I'd enjoy writing. I mean, you never say never, but even like the reverse age gap. I mean, maybe one day, but again, it would be like 34 and 28. And I'm like, it's not really a reverse age gap.
I agree. I don't know what it is. Like to me, and don't anybody come for me, but to me, it feels more predatory when it's and doesn't mean that's true, but for me, I just don't, it's not my thing.
Yeah. I think as well, maybe my opinion's changed now I have a kid.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. I struggle in my head to find it kind of sexy. And I think about like how I would behave. I'm 28. And even like now when people have said about dating and stuff, and I'm like, can I set my profiles to like 35 plus? Like, not the other way. And someone said, no, like, why don't you go like a bit younger? Like 24? And I was like, no. Why would I do that?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, the stepmom one, I think I've only heard that once that's coming out, but I haven't like seen a lot of it, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, unless, so, in one case, it could be a stepmom that's like a forced marriage and she's actually like 28 and the son's older than her. Like that could be an interesting dynamic. Yeah. So maybe it's the reverse age gap that's not for me. Maybe. Because I think age gap as well, for me to be an age gap's like 10 years. And all my characters are normally towards late 20s, the early 30s, I guess.
Yeah.
I personally struggle with age gap in general, even the other way around with the men being older. I don't know if I've actually properly read one really. Like over 50, I just can't. I look at the covers and some of them, and to me it looks like Santa, and I'm like,
right. All I can think is like saggy balls and
yeah, it's just not for me, and I can't get that out of my head. And once it's in your head, it's there. And no matter how much you try and pretend that they're not, I've done this before with characters when I used to read more, and I would actually change the description in my head of who they are, and then I'm like, I've just basically like ruined the whole experience. Might as well just make the whole thing up, because I'm not following the instructions on the page.
Yeah, I think I only read one that's like a silver fox, like full on silver fox, and it was a little bit hard, but I was like, oh, I really want to know, because this is going to be like, it's a part of a series, so I can't just skip it. So I just like pushed it away.
Yeah. Well, I tried to write the daddy kink. I tried so hard. I've tried to put it in multiple books. Nikolai's would have been perfect. Nope. Every time I write it, I delete it straight out and just go, nope.
It's just not going to work out.
And like Roman's, it was supposed to be a daddy kink. And
it just didn't.
No, I had to delete the entire scene because I just myself, and I can't work out why I can't do it. I don't know what's not working for me, but it's not. Maybe one day the right character will be able to pull it off, but I think they have to be very fitting to that kink for it to work.
Yeah.
Like, for example, in real life, if someone asked me to call them that, I'd be like, just out. See yourself out.
Oh,
bye. Yeah. Even when reading it, it's like sometimes it just gets thrown out there, like surprise. I'm like, wait, where did it came from? Like, no, it just doesn't work. Like,
yeah. And I get that it's some people are really into it. It's just not for me.
No.
Minded, but I certainly don't want my husband to say it, because it'll be done. Excuse me?
I mean, there's a lot of things in books that partners could say, and you would actually probably throat punch them.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah,
probably. But then there's other stuff you think that you would throat punch them for. Then it comes out of their mouth, and you go, okay,
yeah. So this one is an interesting question. Before you write the scenes, do you try it to see how it works?
No. Sorry to burst anyone's bubble.
I'm crying right now.
I'm very much on my own. So, the chances of me finding someone who I could tolerate to breathe the same air as, and then would have the specific kinks that I would need, and then me to trust them, we're looking very slim. However, in previous times, yes, there is stuff potentially, like there is stuff there that can be tested. They can be tested fairly easily. There's other things that I will not be testing. I don't own a gun. I am given the wrong gun.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think there's a single person on this planet I would trust.
No.
With a gun down there. So no, it's all up here. And like, I guess you can tie in previous experiences, or I guess even conversations with people, or like, like there's a lot that you can tie in that doesn't necessarily mean you're testing it, but you are, so you can tie in, or for example, like you could do, I don't know, let's say you're like tied up, for example. So what it feels like to be tied up. You don't necessarily need to keep being tied up to be able to write about it. So yeah, but obviously there is lots of different ways. And there's lots of things that I would try out. But yeah, I think that would be exhausting because the amount of spice that I write, quite honestly, like it would be hard to keep up with me. And this morning I'm using a sex swing before I write because I must test it. I'm joking, I didn't do that.
Oh, I'm like, I need to know about this. Message me once we get off.
Let me just go and grab a neighbor. Excuse me.
Oh my God. But it would probably come out of the stud for me and I'd end up with a broken.
No, they do some door hanging ones. There's a woman on Instagram who she's basically like a kink explainer, I'm going to call her. She's really good.
Wow.
But she sells the door ones that look really good. And also this has just given me a really epic idea in a book. This is what I mean. Like, don't need to do it. You can just think about things and then just spiral with it. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff online you can kind of find out about. Like, the one I was looking at the other day was like the ropes, but what's the word for it? That gives me an S.
Shibari.
Yeah, that one. That one. And like on Instagram, you can. Like, it's honestly quite therapeutic just watching someone being tied up. Like just things like that. You can just pick up bits. But yeah, obviously there is stuff to be tried in life that's got to be tried. One day I will be chased through the forest.
Oh my God. I hate to run.
Yeah, I don't like running.
Don't need to be for long.
Right. Can it be just like from this end to that end, then just like
100-meter sprint? I'll meet you at the tree.
Just get the my adrenaline pumping.
Make sure you catch me.
Oh, okay. Just VJ. We just covered it. So now you know what the search history looks like. We've covered that. Probably Smut wants to know, do you also lose your mind while writing smutty scenes, or is it just us readers?
Sometimes, but they've got to be good. So like example would be like some of Jax's I actually had to tap out of because I was like, this is just too much. Because you're kind of reading them in a short period of time. Right. I'm invested in them for, let's say, like 2 hours. It might take me to write a spy scene, maybe an hour sometimes. It's quite a long period of time to be writing about sex. So because I've had this question before, like from people, and they're like, oh my God, are you just turned on all the time? I'm like, well, no. But but at the same time, there are certain stuff that you write, you'd be like, oh my God, okay, that is really hot. So I purposely now try to not write those at work, like in my office, because there's like people around. I've got my sister that sometimes I'll be writing and I will just start laughing to myself. Or I'll like push the chair away and be like, oh my fucking God. And my sister will just be like, you're right. I'm like, just don't talk to me for a minute. Don't even ask me what I'm doing. And she's like, okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So this one, okay. So Sophie wants to know if you would be doing a tour in Australia, specifically Sydney area at some point.
So possibly not in the short term, mainly because I am not in a position to be able to take my son there yet. It's 20+ hour flight for me. He can't sit still for like more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So for me, if I'm going to go to Australia, I'd want to go for like a month, and again explore, do a signing, things like that. So I can't say no, I'll never do it, because I will. One day I will get to Australia, and I love the fact that they love my book so much there. Every release, they always blow me away. Like, it's incredible. So one day I will get there. But at the same time as well, I wouldn't want to leave my son for 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
I just don't think I could. I struggle for like 4 days. I'm like, I want my baby back. So yeah, the plan is I think he'll be, what was it next year? Maybe 2026 is doable. End of 2026, something like that. 27, that kind of time frame I could probably do.
Yeah. That'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Katie baby, what made you decide to write MMF romance for your next series?
So I want to write a reverse harem. My readers want me to write one. I want to write one. There was a time in my life where people around me weren't keen on me writing anything like that. And so I didn't. And then I kind of stepped away from that and like, no, I'm going to write whatever the fuck I want to write. And so I thought, okay, reverse harem might be a bit of a jump because it's hard sometimes just writing a main female character for main character. So I thought I'm going to use this novella because there is plot in it, but it's a lot of spice. That's what novella is. So I thought I'm going to use it and see, one, if I enjoy writing it and if I find it hot. Because if I don't, I can't write reverse harem. If I'm not, I've never actually read one all the way through.
Really?
Nope. I've just got the perfect fit. But I'm only like a few chapters in. So I'm just kind of, I guess, experimenting with myself as to like what I want to write, how far I want to push it. So the MMF for me, when I've seen clips and stuff of like promos and stuff for books, I personally think it is really hot. So I was like, right, that's where I'm going to go with it rather than MFM. I want to go all in. But
yeah,
it's hard with the men I write being as possessive as they are for that to work. So this is very much a Luna spin on it. Please don't expect it to be a relationship of that because it's just not. So I'm using it, I think, to learn is what this is. Learn where I'm happy writing and where I want to take it, really.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Me too.
Yeah.
So this next question, I was like going back and forth if I was going to ask it or not because it wasn't like clear. But it says if you could unalive one person, who would it be and how would you do it? I was like, is it one of her characters or in real life? I was just like, we're just gonna assume it's one of the characters.
Wait, you wait till I tell him that they've asked this question on the podcast. I should have. So this is very much someone just joking, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just like, I saw it. I was like, I'm gonna put it down, but I don't know if we're gonna ask it or not.
I'm excited that all the cringy questions went on your lap this time, right?
Yes, I know.
But yeah, no one in real life would I.
No, was it no? Well, we can say in books, definitely it had to be a main character. I know you want to take out Ivan for sure.
Yeah. Also, Tyler did my head in. He wasn't supposed to die. Tyler was not planned to die. But quite honestly, he irritated me so much that I had to kill him. And then Anna in Chaos.
Yes. Oh,
she's got to die, and she is going to die.
Yeah.
I can't believe I let her live. But the reason that I let her live was because I didn't want to give Sophia any more trauma or guilt.
Right.
And I don't think the characters in the book would reasonably think that with what she was going through with Jax, that would be a good step. Because at the end of the day, even everyone in their life has some shitty friends. But even if they are bad friends, you wouldn't still want that or to be to blame for it. And she had to be emotionally strong to be able to help Jax. I think that was the key. That is the only reason that woman's alive right now. However, I am going to rectify that in this series. Don't you worry, I've not forgotten about her. Don't know it's going to be epic. You won't even see it coming. And then, but if people haven't read Chaos, it will just be a randomer that's dead. But to people that have, I expect parties and champagne popping because
absolutely
that woman. But it's funny. I really enjoy. It sounds really bad. I really enjoy like putting some of my like anger into like my books and just having fun with it. Like I will honestly hate these characters like they're real people. And it's not like I base them on real people at all. But then, they almost start to morph into like, let's say I'm angry at something or whatever. Then they end up dying. And I'm like, oh, I guess I felt that kind of way today. Yeah. So I had to really like draw myself back in from killing Anna because I was like, but she survived. She survived the lunar world for now.
For now.
But yeah, Tyler just kind of icked me. It was when he said the comment about like wanting to see her naked, and obviously that's his cousin, and I was like, ew, no, you're just in the way. Goodbye.
Oh goodness. Yeah. Well, the next question, no, because you already answered that. Yes, Enzo's getting a book. Two books. So
2 books.
Well, that brings us to the end of this podcast, and it was a blast. Yeah, I am so glad that we were able to get together. You are hilarious. You're talented, and I had a great time.
Yeah, me too. Like, this was fun. I had fun. Love your books. I think.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. And if anyone hasn't read them, do it.
Yeah.
So I have to get on the back list. So.
Yes, you do.
I know.
It's only 4. You got this.
Yeah.
There's only 4 previous books?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Why did I think there was like 20 something?
No.
I gotta get on this.
No. So Distance is the first one. That's my first ever book.
Okay. All right. That's where I'm going. Because I'm up to this world. I gotta go back.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We really had a great time, and we look forward to all the other books. And we'll be messaging you once
we read
Alexi and Laura.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for having me.
Okay.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.
Well, thanks for joining us. Be sure to follow us on our socials and make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any of our episodes. If you have any authors that you would like to recommend, you can send us a message on our Instagram or TikTok. Well, thanks so much and see you next time.
See you next time.